just going to be rambling. I am already off to a great start. I want to ask you a question, and I already recorded and probably posted this in a short form. So if you've already seen that, I'm sorry I'm asking you again, but I'm going into a little bit more detail here. So my question is, when you are asked to give a fun fact about yourself, what do you say? The reason this came to mind is that I was at a work event. It was like a team bonding activity, team building activity, and it was for people like not my immediate team, but everyone in my department. So there's some folks that I, don't work with or haven't really worked with. There were also a lot of new people on our team that maybe have less than a year experience. There are also some people who have more than like 25 years of experience, so there's a really big range. And at the start of this activity, my boss tells the team that, I don't think everyone here knows each other, so let's just start off with going around the room and, stand up and tell everyone your name, how long you've been with the company, and a fun fact about yourself that most people in the room probably don't know. So I was actually one of the first people to go, but as soon as he started saying, I don't think everyone knows, I'm like, oh, he's gonna ask for the fun fact, because that's just the way it is, right? I feel like I have had to do that a lot at work in the corporate world, right? And I'm trying to remember if I had to do that in school. I probably did, a couple times, but it feels like now that I'm working, I get asked that at least a couple times a year. And I can never think of a fun fact. I'm not very fun, I guess. I was really, really close to sharing about this channel and saying, I'm Lisa. I've been with the company for 4 years, and I have an ASMR YouTube channel or something like that. But then I panicked that was too personal. I don't know. I haven't really told anyone at work. I take that back. I've told maybe 2 coworkers, but they're coworkers that I've hung out with outside of work. We're actually friends. And even then, I think I only told them because one time they came over to my house. We were throwing a little party at my house, and in the basement is where I have this set up, and the basement was where the party was gonna be at, and it was just too inconvenient to move my setup. So someone asked me oh, do you record podcasts or something? And I'm like, oh, I actually have a really small YouTube channel, ASMR YouTube channel. But yeah, I decided not to say anything because I felt like half of the people would not know what ASMR is, and then they might ask what'd she say? What is that? Or come talk to me afterwards, and I don't really want to talk to anyone. Which I think is probably the whole point of the fun fact. So people you follow up afterwards oh my gosh, it's so cool that you said this, tell me about that. But I'm very antisocial. I don't want to give people a reason to come talk to me. Or people who do know it, some people think it's weird, and I don't want to have to explain it's not weird, it's actually cool, but whatever. So yeah, I decided not to share that, and instead I shared that I love salsa dancing. I don't know if that's really a fun fact. I have never danced professionally or competitively or even taken any classes. I literally just know the basics, but I do love dancing, and I love salsa dancing. You feel it. But some of the things that other people shared, 2 people shared that they are twins, not to each other. They have their own twins. Another girl said that she's actually a triplet. What else? Someone said that they play X amount of instruments. One girl said that she played tennis in college and actually holds a record for her school. One guy said that 8 years, however long, yeah, probably 8 years now that I've been like working. That's probably been my go-to every single time I've been asked, what's the fun fact about yourself? I have thought about sharing before that I speak Spanish, but I feel like that's not really a fun fact. Like, it is what it is. Like, maybe it'd be different if I could speak like 4 languages and I would say, you know, I can speak French, Spanish, German, English, like whatever. But I can only speak English and Spanish, and even then, like, I feel like me speaking Spanish isn't like out of this world because I am Hispanic. Both of my parents, their primary language, or first language, I'll say, is Spanish. So it's not like I taught myself and whatever. What else? I probably could say that I've lived in like a couple different states, but I don't know, like, it's not fun, right? I remember one time when we had to do that, one girl said that her fun fact was that she loves spending time with her family, and I was like, that's not really a fun fact. Like, I don't know. Not that spending time with your family isn't cool. Like, I love doing that, and when I get asked what my interests are, I do say that I love spending time with my family, but I wouldn't say it's like a fun fact about me. Fun fact is more like if I could do a handstand or something, which I cannot. But yeah, so tell me what your fun facts are. The second thing I wanted to chat a little bit with you about was how, if you have already, how have you found your dream job? Like, I feel like, I don't know, I work with a bunch of people who love working. They don't have great work-life balance, and they just, I don't know, they just love working, you know what I mean? Like, they would choose and constantly choose to be at work all the time, and I just, like, my job's fine. It's a job. I'm super grateful for it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm super grateful for it, and it can be interesting at times, but I'm not, like, in love with it. I'm not, like, passionate about it. So maybe that's more my question. Like, how do you find what you're passionate about? I feel like when you're in high school, and I feel like you don't really learn, how do I put this? At least for me personally, I did not know what career opportunities were out there, where to even start. I feel like when I was in high school, it was just really pushed, like, go to college, but like, for what? I feel like now kids are being encouraged more to go to, like, trade schools and, you know, stuff like that, which is awesome. But when I was in school, it was really just like, go to college, get a degree, and you'll find a good job. But, like, how are you supposed to make such a big decision at 18? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, I don't know. I still don't know, and I'm like a grown up. What? So yeah, I know I've mentioned it before, but if anyone's new, I probably haven't mentioned it recently, but I am an engineer. I studied mechanical engineering. My degree is in mechanical engineering. I have worked in a couple different industries now, but mainly in manufacturing, and it is what it is. I decided to study engineering because I really enjoyed math and science in high school, but, like, having gone through college, I feel like a lot of it had more to do with my professors, like my teachers in school, which I guess isn't the same for, how do I explain this? Like, I feel like I had an absolutely amazing chemistry teacher, like, super, super great. I was in, like, advanced classes. My senior year, we even took, like, a little session on, like, organic chemistry. And it was obviously very, very challenging, but I loved it, and it made sense. Like, chemistry in general, not specifically OChem, like, that was probably my least favorite part, but chemistry in general. And even with, like, English, I had an amazing English teacher. I can't remember if I had her my junior or senior year. Fun fact, those teachers were actually married, my chemistry to, teachers specifically in high school, were amazing, and my professors were like not like I had to take chemistry. I think it was honestly like 101 or 201 or whatever. It was still pretty like basic. And that professor was horrible. Like I had to I had to search for my notes that I took when I was in high school, and I retaught myself everything based on those notes, because the way that the professor was explaining it, like, just was not making any sense to me. And even with like English, you have to take your gen ed classes your first year or whatever. And the English class I took, like, I don't know, it was fine. But I just felt like everything I had learned from high school. And I remember there were like times when we had to proofread another classmate's like work, and she was like marking up my page for something for like comma usage before quotations, right? And she was just marking it up in red, and the way she was marking it, I'm like, that's not right. Like, that's, she was telling me I needed a comma when I didn't, or vice versa, or whatever. But I was like so sure, and she's there like essentially mansplaining it to me, like, but it was wrong. And after class, I talked to the professor. I think she was actually a TA, and I'm like, yo, am I wrong? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. And she's like, no, like, you're right, like, you're good. But like, we didn't cover that in class. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. But yeah, so I took that, and rewind. So I really liked math and science, which, whatever, mechanical engineering courses were like a whole nother ballgame. But I was trying to decide, my senior year, what I wanted to do with my life. And I think sometimes I did have, like, in one of my classes, I feel like I took a test that was like, tell me about yourself, what stuff do you prefer to do? And it gave a suggestion of like careers, and I can't even remember what my suggestions were, but they weren't anything that I thought I would want to do, or that I thought you could have a successful career in. And then I don't even remember how I first started getting into engineering. I think my grandpa was going blind at the time, and it was just like, whatever, he was going blind, and I was researching into the bionic eye, and I thought it was so cool that, people were working on medical devices like this. And then I came across biomedical engineers, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Maybe I would want to do that, like, you help people, but you're an engineer, like, I don't know. But the university I went to really only offered like the basic types of engineering degrees. So they had mechanical, civil, electrical, and computer science. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Electrical, mechanical, civil, and computer science, maybe. And I had read that like mechanical engineering was kind of the most like generic and more broad, like you could kind of go into a bunch of different industries and fields with that degree. So I'm like, all right, my first idea was that I'll do like mechanical engineering, and then I will get a master's in like biomedical engineering. But life happens, and I got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and I luckily was really blessed and got a job right out of college, and I started working. And I feel like every once in a while I will go through a phase where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, you work all day, like, what, for what, like, it'd be different if it's something you're, like, super passionate about, and going to work, like, invigorates you, but I don't always feel like that. And to some level, I feel like it's like that for everyone, even if you were in, like, your dream job, because it's a lot to be able to feel passionate about something every single day. Like, that would be exhausting, and then you would never really feel passionate. Like, you need to have normal, like, you need a baseline, right, to be able to feel like, wow, this is amazing. And sometimes I have felt that at work, like, I'm more in a project manager type of role now, and I do enjoy that more than the really technical stuff. And there are some times where I'm like, you know what, I kind of like this, but I don't think I've found, like, my passion, right? So I'm really curious for folks who have found a career and built a career in an industry that they're super passionate about, or a specific role role that they have really enjoyed. How did you get there? Like, did you know what you wanted to do right away and you went to school or training for it? Cool. Like, de una, at once? Or have you lived your life a little bit and then decided, like, you know what, I'm actually really passionate about this. Let me go back to school for that. Or let me kind of change my career projection and go like that route. I'm just so curious how you get there, I think that a lot of people now, like, how do I word this? Maybe it's switching gears a little bit, but it's interesting to me now to see that, like, content creation is a job. I don't know why I put it in quotes. Content creation is a job now, right? Like, that's how they get money. That's how they live. But I don't think I'd want to do that either. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love making these videos, and if I got paid for it, like, that'd be great. But I could also see, like, with content creation, especially when you're, like, telling people about your life, like, it's more of a lifestyle type of content. I don't know, I feel like that would get to you and, like, make you want to, like, switch the way you think or how you're living life. Like, I think it'd be difficult to enjoy your life if you feel like you have to record every single minute of it and make it like a show for people. Like, that's also exhausting. At least with this, like, with what I'm, with my videos, like, it's something that I do for fun. It's not necessarily about my life. It's just whatever. So it's nice. It's something different. What else was I going to say? But yeah, I think that kind of covers the bulk of what I wanted to say. I am considering going back to grad school. I have found, or I have heard about a role in the company that I work with already, but like a completely different, like, unit. I have found a role that I think would interest me a lot. It is a little bit more like marketing, so I'm debating on getting an MBA, or like a master's in like marketing or something. It is super different than what I do now. I don't even know if I would really enjoy it, because when I think of someone in like marketing, I think of someone super extroverted, like friendly, loves talking to people, really outgoing, and that's not me. But I don't know. I guess that's another question I have for you, and this video is probably geared more towards people who are a little bit older, and have been working already. But if, I'm curious, if you have gone back to school, how did you decide what degree to pursue or what to study? If you got an MBA, have you found it useful? I feel like I've heard that now everyone has an MBA, so maybe it takes away the value of it a bit. But I'm curious to hear what you have to share. If you did like a career change, how did that go? Yeah, alright. I think that's kind of all I wanted to ramble about today. I would love to hear your thoughts on what is your fun fact, or maybe even like what is the funnest fact you've heard someone else say, or the weirdest fact you've heard someone else say about themselves in one of these team building activities. How have you found your dream job? If you did a career change, how was that? So yeah, let me know. I hope to talk to you again soon.